The talk of the town right now is that Conor McGregor is going to fight Logan Paul. Is there any truth to it? I can tell you that both of these guys are under the same company, which is TKO. Now, what is significant about that? Obviously, getting this deal to get done would be a whole lot easier, and also take into consideration there would be no barriers, considering that they have the same partners, they have the same management team, and they are under the same umbrella. So making this fight would not be that difficult. And Dana White has mentioned in one of the recent press conferences, and I got to tell you, just to kind of put in context, Dana White's press conferences are just like podcasts because he constantly drops gems. And I don't know if he does it purposely, but he does do it. And when he does, it becomes newsworthy content. And this is one of them. He says that I've got an announcement that will blow your mind for 2025. Well, what exactly is that? Could it be a fight with Tom Aspinall and John Jones? That is a great possibility. Could it be Conor McGregor versus Logan Paul? Now, how did we get here? That is the ultimate question that we have to ask, because we are here with Logan Paul and Conor McGregor in a possibility of doing an exhibition in India. So that means that they're just going to go full rounds, not knocking each other out. And then there are negotiations on the contrary that state they want to do it in a pro setting, in particular Logan Paul. So that leads me to think Logan Paul, rightfully so, believes that he could knock out Conor McGregor. Now, why do I say rightfully so? Obviously, if you are trying to get into this boxing match, you have to have a belief in yourself that you're going to do something extraordinary to the extent that you're going to knock out Conor McGregor. We've obviously seen that in the Dustin Poirier fight. And thinking about it, not that I'm a gambler to any extent, but I would favor Logan Paul in this fight if I were a gambler. I don't know about you. Maybe there's some reality to that. Maybe there isn't. You let me know on the comment section below. Hopefully that we can try to make a better understanding of why this fight is happening right now. Conor McGregor just had his civil trial. He owes a lot of people money. In January, right now it's December, by the way, the same fight week of Tyson Fury and Usyk Part 2, he's got a trial coming up against Artem Lobov in a civil lawsuit once again. So what does that tell you? That tells you that he really needs to come and compete and fight once again for money. Because it's not coming in. Not the sponsorships, not the royalties from a liquor brand that he owns. And now he's going to get into a lawsuit about a brand that he no longer owns and has dropped him from it. Can you imagine that? So it's hit an all-time low. You know, there's a saying goes, a lot of these washed up MMA fighters often go and fight Jake Paul and Logan Paul. And then the other side of that is that Jake Paul is throwing his name into the mix, sort of promoting it, even though we may know at least that it's going to be Logan Paul that's going to have the fight. Jake inserts himself in it to promote the brand even more, but also to promote his brand as well in his own selfish action in that regard. But nonetheless, it's genius. It's genius for the Pauls. It's genius for WWE. It's genius for UFC. Because, hey, Khabib has said this previously, which is what? Khabib said Conor is washed up now. They're going to use him and use him and use him for money until he is done. Is Khabib correct? Yes. There was a time where Conor McGregor said, I'm going to come into this game, I'm going to go in and I'm going to go out. And what Conor McGregor is doing right now is still tipping one toe into the game while trying to get out, knowing that he's already the biggest winner in terms of promotion in the game of MMA. But why is he doing this? It's quite obvious. And who is the ace side? It's quite obvious. It's Conor McGregor, but he's also going to be the least favorite of this fight. Unfortunately, true. He's going to be the underdog, believe it or not. He's got everything stacked up against him. Look, a lot of people don't like to take that Floyd Mayweather and that Logan Paul fight to consideration. There is a weight class for a reason. It's for everyone's safety. It's to ensure fair play competition without any unfair advantages. But then again, there are people out there that are weight bully. Hey, brother, you're a weight bully. You're a weight bully. No, actually, DC said this to Islam Makhachev, saying that he weighed 180, which I believe right now is mid-December or late December, and it's going to be in the 11th of January, that fight. So he weighs 180 right now, and he has to be 155 at January 10th, because the day is 11th is the fight, and then, yeah, January 10th is the weigh-ins. So he has to weigh 155 pounds by then. So weight bully at that. But yeah, either way, Logan Paul has a weight bully advantage in this fight. That's the reality of it. He has a weight bully advantage in this fight. And is he going to use that to his advantage? Absolutely. He's got the height. He's done it to Floyd. And I don't see how he's going to do anything different with Conor McGregor. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to look very, very bad. Let me tell you something. Conor McGregor, previous to all of this lawsuit and civil cases and things of this nature, he walked with absolute immunity, okay? In more ways than one. Immunity with the law, maybe not so much. A lot of things continue to be accounted for. Like when he walked around with an Uzi, and then the Irish Garda caught on to his social media and basically confiscated his weapons. That's one thing that you got to remember about this, right? On top of that, he has all these different allegations. The 40-year-old woman who was Irish from his town in Ibiza got abused in his yacht. A whole range of other accusations, and then the DJ, and the list goes on, and things of that nature, right? He walked with immunity in most of them. The same thing in the Miami Heat game. What happened? Nobody pressed charges whatsoever. Why? Because they knew that there was no evidence. But listen, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think you understand where I'm going with this. So he walked with immunity. Never been accounted for, never been punished. And sometimes when you walk with such immunity, a couple of things you start to realize. Number one, you start to realize, hey, you know what? Maybe I got away this time. I'm gonna hold back. I'm gonna hold back, and I'm gonna fall back, and I'm gonna leave it alone, and I'm never gonna do that again. Some do that, and then there are some, hey, you know what? Let's push the limits on this. Let's see where this goes. This is where Conor is at in this particular time frame. So with that in mind, what you get out of this situation is Conor McGregor now pushing his boundaries onto different people. But guess what? For whatever reason, this time, the one that should not have stuck. What do I mean by that? This Nikita hand, in my opinion, my personal opinion, is that she is a sociopathic liar. And as a result, she was able to manipulate this case in her way, which is through a civil lawsuit, but money that is sort of insecure. So you get paid what? $250,000, and then $250,000 of that you got to give back to Conor McGregor's homie for his legal fees. Right? So it doesn't seem like a win, but either way, you hurt Conor McGregor in a way where now, because of the documented aspect of him being an assaulter, a rapist, being that that's on record, even if it's just a civil trial, okay? It's still a stain on your record. And as a result, it resulted into the sponsorship negotiations failing, and on top of that, the downfall of their relationship, better yet, the termination of it all. Okay, which again is, I'm trying to find the most emotive, expressive ways to convey how bad this is for Conor McGregor. It's very bad, which leads us to Logan Paul and why this fight is happening. It is happening because he needs the money. And this right here is going to attract people to watch the downfall of Conor McGregor in multiple ways. The downfall of the fact that he has to fight a YouTuber. Let's be honest. Jake is a different level. You could argue whether he can compete in the world level or real boxers, as you call it. But either way, Logan is not that. But he is a formidable boxer and a capable athlete, which means he has the capabilities of knocking out Conor McGregor and embarrassing him in front of the world. And let's not forget, not to mention, Conor McGregor is not the same Conor McGregor anymore. And True Geordie loves to say that because there is some truth to that, even though him and True Geordie had some sort of beef going on where he called True Geordie a fat estrogen man, bitch, tits, whatever. And then, funny enough, Conor McGregor calls Conor McGregor a little man. He shows a picture of Conor McGregor dressed up as some little man of some sort or whatever, in some baggy clothes, looking with his eyes like all lit up and everything, his mouth jewelry. Oh my God, man. Whatever. But either way, the beef that they had going on was quite something else, right? I think it's still ongoing, and every shot that True Geordie can offer Conor McGregor, he will do it. And he has. And that is some of the things that he says about Conor McGregor, is that he is not the same Conor McGregor anymore. And as a result, what we get is a shell of himself. We have a guy who no longer trains the way that he used to, parties on a constant basis. And if we're talking about early 2025, let's say maybe even in March, let's say they do this on St. Patrick's Day, which, by the way, would make it even more insulting or symbolic. Imagine that. A boxing match with Logan Paul and Conor McGregor on St. Patrick's Day, and Conor McGregor loses. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what that is like? I can tell you that it would be horrible. It would be horrible for the Irish, or it could be a victory because of all the things that are happening right now. And let's segue this into that, right? Conor McGregor is planning on moving to the United States of America. Do I think this is a good move? Yes. Michael Bisping has done it. It was a great move for him. David Beckham has done it. He now owns Miami Football Club. And Pierce Morgan at one point lived in the United States. And now here comes this other man from the British Isles, the English Channel, from the Dublin Sea, Conor McGregor. And I got to be honest with you. Living in America is awesome. It's great. But in all true to God honesty, Conor McGregor is coming here not by choice, at least not by first choice, but rather by second choice. Now, what cities would Conor McGregor live in? Well, I'm just going to flat out say it, maybe California. And I'm saying that biasly because I live in California. But I tell you what, some of the happiest moments that I seen out of Conor McGregor was in California, in Venice Beach, okay? I think that it'll do him some good. You want to know why? Living in LA has its drawbacks, the traffic. It has all of these strange people around you, and then on top of that, there's a lot of homeless people on top of that. Not to make fun of them or discourage them in any kind of way or anything like that, but if you run across some of them, they could be very dangerous people, or they could be red flags for you in some kind of way, right? But then there are people out there that unfortunately fall into the struggles of high rent, right? And as a result, they lived in the city expecting that they were going to be housed, only to have the opposite happen due to certain financial drawbacks, right? Which is the reality of cities regardless, right? So he's going to be living in California, hypothetically speaking, right? Will it be good for him? Yes, it'll be good for him because there's the beach, very relaxing, right? You get the beach around you, you almost feel like, hey man, a lot of things really don't matter in life. Like everything is good, everything is chilling. You have a better reaction to things. And that's one thing that you got to remember that is very helpful to a fighter is building reaction, okay? Having the advantage of the ocean around you. On top of that, it's a metropolitan city. And I got to be honest with you, if you are a showman like Conor McGregor, it is going to give you positive vibes. That's just no way other how to it, right? It's going to give him positive vibes because he likes being around people. He loves being a showman. And I'll be honest, right? I'll segue this for myself just a little bit. Me, I'm a showman. I'm an athletic guy. On top of that, if I'm at the gym, I love to show off. There's no doubt about it. And it gives me a good workout. It motivates me to have a great workout all the time. You get people around me, I'm going to express my athletic ability, my prowess, and how I negotiate pain and obstacles. I will absolutely do it. I do it right now. Look at this. I'm talking 20 minutes into this whole entire video with no pauses, no stuttering, literally just off the top of my head, and no editing, giving you uncut and raw. And guess what? I have the talent to do that. Why? Because I'm a showman, and I live in an environment that sort of encourages showmanship. I mean, look, I go to Los Angeles a lot. On top of that, I live in Sacramento, which is also a big city. On top of having big names around here, you had Papa Roach come out here, record there from out here. Mozzie, you had Uriah Faber, a guy that I've trained with, Team Alpha Male, best team in the world. And then you got the Sacramento Kings. By the way, a place that I'm going to show you right now as we drive by. Because that's how it is. You're a showman. You love to show off. You love being around that. So it's positive. Now, did he have that in Dublin? Yes, he did. He had that in Dublin, and I'm going to explain to you some of the psychological reasons why. I don't think he was challenged in Dublin. Not at all. He was the best fighter in that whole entire island of Ireland. Literally, best fighter. So you can't grow if you are the best fighter anywhere you are at, right? You can't grow at all. Let me show you guys the Golden One Center real quick. That's the Golden One Center right there, right? So as I was saying, being around the big city gives you that big feeling of vibe, but he's the best fighter in Ireland, and it's not going to help him grow. He loved being around there because it made him comfortable feeling superior to everyone else. Let's delve into that psychology of that, right? He felt superior to everyone else because he grew up in an environment where a lot of people doubted his efforts of becoming a mixed martial artist, including his parents, right? And on top of that, you just got to understand the Irish have a very pessimistic culture about things. You got to understand where the pessimism comes from. First of all, they come from a very foggy place, right? Not very sunny. And once again, this is why I segue and I predict that Conor McGregor is going to move to California because he's looking for a little bit of sun. You don't get a lot of sun in Dublin, so as a result, guess what? You're going to become a little bit depressed in most cases. Not all, or some cases rather. Especially people who are prone to it. So they're going to have a very pessimistic attitude on things. Oh, what do you mean I'm going to be a double champion in mixed martial arts? No Irishman has ever done it. What are you doing, Conor McGregor? You know, stay being a plumber, Conor McGregor. You got to provide for your family, Conor McGregor. You have to do this. You know what I mean? Very pessimistic mindset. And there's a lot of people across all different nationalities and different faiths, different creeds that are like that, unfortunately. And you got to understand, when you have people like that, there is a higher chance of people giving up. And Conor McGregor never did, but he also mentioned something that I thought was really thought-provoking and really important to bring up in this topic at hand of Conor McGregor moving to Ireland. Moving away from Ireland to the United States, I mean. What's important about that? He said back then, embrace your home. Never talk bad about it. I see a lot of these people that move out of their home, never embrace their home or this and that, and he looks down upon this. So he is a guy that is loyal to his soil. Just like me, I'm loyal to the West Coast soil. 100%. Because growing up, I've always wanted to live in California, whether it was north or whether it was south. And I go to LA a lot because I love the city. I love downtown. I love Hollywood. all of that. Anaheim, all the theme parks, everything. Awesome stuff, right? That's what California is about. So I'm going to be 100% loyal to it. You know what I mean? I'm going to be 100% loyal to it. So as a result, I agree with what Conor McGregor is talking about when he says, never talk bad about the place that you come from. But unfortunately, where he's at right now, he has to get up out of there, move to the United States, find a positive environment that's not going to hound him about these situations, and allow him to live life comfortably without all of these external hate. And what I mean by external hate is the fact that he lives in a country that many people no longer support him, whereas back then you had a bunch of Irish people, tens and thousands of them, flocking to Las Vegas to watch him fight and then turn up with huge groups of people yelling soccer chants. That's what you had out of Conor McGregor. Created a lot of special moments. Do you think the minute that he walks into that ring and that whole entire event with Logan Paul, do you think he's going to look happy walking into that ring? Or is he going to look like Mike Tyson when Mike Tyson looked sad, out of it, non-motivated, and just felt like he was there for a payday? How do you think he's going to react? You let me know. I think everything right now is a telltale sign of what is going to happen and how Conor McGregor is going to react to it. And guess what? He may very well just win this boxing match with Logan Paul. Or for all we know, this boxing match may never happen at all. But everything that I had just mentioned is true. Everything that I had just given you in terms of documented facts and realities of situations that are probable to the outcome, let's say maybe within a half year or so, you could understand how it could end up bad for Conor McGregor in any regard. But I don't want to end it with a sour note. I want you to remember this. The guy had a great time, had a great life, had great accomplishments that you could never take away from him. But right now, I honestly think that his livelihood is on the line. You want me to continue on? I'll go on for a couple more minutes, okay? I think there's a lot of calamities that are going to seriously plague Conor McGregor later on. And I hate to say this because I tell you what, I'm only a guy looking from the outside. I'm only a podcaster. I'm only a YouTuber that's just trying to make it. That's just trying to create good content for everybody to listen to, for everybody to relate to, and not only that, for everybody to feel inspired and not just entertained by the matter of subject and content. But part of that is telling the truth. Part of that is giving your full, undivided analysis, and everything points out to everything being bad and everything being tragic. They say that time is a circle. What do they mean by that? And please forgive me if I got the phrase wrong, if I somehow can be corrected on the phrase, let me know. But from what I know, time is a circle. What does that mean, or how does that phrase go? But it means that whatever you are doing and the consequences of where that could lead you, it's not going to change for the next man because it's the same story every time. I think that's what it is. That's something what you have to understand. It's the same story every time. Kurt Cobain is the same story every time to everybody else that had some kind of addiction or some kind of depression. Quote unquote shot himself, but then there's another story considering his ex that may have something to do with it, but that's neither here or there. Another story for another time, maybe another content. Tupac, same story with a lot of young African American males and many males from the gang world, whether that would be Asian, Pacific Islander, Latino, Armenian, you name it, Puerto Rican, Haitians, Jamaicans, Latin Kings disciples, Vice Lords, Haitians, all of that. Crip ninjas, blood ninjas, essays, Asians, all of that. The Games, West Side Story, you know what I mean. His story is the same. It ends every time. You punch somebody out, somebody comes back, retaliates, and guns you down. And crazy enough, he said it in Changes. You know the song Changes by Tupac. He said, you don't got to worry about a punk that I roughed up from way back. And it's happened on the same night. So it's the same story every time. The time is a circle. Okay? Tupac, that was no different for Nipsey. That was no different for Biggie. That was no different for PNB Rock. That was no different for Pop Smoke. The list goes on. It was no different for any of them. So with Conor McGregor, you think that anything is going to be any different? You think that there isn't going to be issues with drugs that could potentially be fatal? You don't think that Conor McGregor may one day crash out on the wrong person, and for that person to have a retaliatory response of some deadly consequences? Or maybe perhaps Conor McGregor being in a situation where he just completely goes broke and falls off the face of the earth. And guess what? He's not going to let that happen. But what is the antidote to that? The antidote is the Logan Paul fight and then going back to the UFC. But either way, whether it's a Logan Paul fight or whether it's a UFC, the one thing you can guarantee is that Conor McGregor needs to fight. And that is the only reason why he's going to do so. That is the only reason why he is no longer just going to hide behind Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or however means that he talks trash. He's not just going to use that as an excuse and a shield to back away from these guys. He now has to face somebody, whether that is Logan, whether that is Chandler, or whether that is Dustin Poirier, or maybe even Islam Makhachev, or maybe Dan Hooker. At some point, Dan Hooker was in that conversation. I don't know what happened with that. But either way, all of these things are going behind the scenes that many of us may not know, but only speculate, are starting to unravel. For one, it's starting to unravel the idea that, hey, you know what? I have to step in that ring because I need to make money. Everybody knowing that all of these sponsorships are going away. Can you imagine? That's the position that Conor McGregor is currently at. He has no choice. So what would you do in this situation? Would you fight, knowing that it could solve some of your financial burdens? And by the way, maybe that big payday is not going to help. It will mitigate some form of damage, but I don't know. Conor McGregor is a big spender. You got to imagine all of the maids, all of the workers that have to work on his boat, that have to work on, let's say, his cars, maintain his house, bodyguards, and then having to travel with that same security, increasing your travel expenses. Traveling by yourself is expensive enough. Now you got to travel with a team. And then booking hotels, not just for yourself, but for them. It's an absolute nightmare, financially speaking. So that is something you have to realize about Conor McGregor's situation right now. Conor McGregor is at a very dangerous time of his life. So dangerous that a man who had many choices and had the ability to say no, had FU money, now has to be in a compromising state. Understand that. It is a completely different ball game for Conor McGregor right now. So please, don't forget to like and subscribe. This is the most that I have for this particular topic at hand. I've exhausted a lot of my information on Conor McGregor in terms of his entire stats all throughout the years. I've exhausted the current details that are going on in his current situation right now. But the only thing that we can do is recognize that there are clear downfalls that Conor McGregor can no longer hide. You see, a lot of us can hide many of our mishaps or many of our situations or many of our hardships. But when you're somebody who's as prideful as Conor McGregor, who knows how to hide all of his insecurities while showing all of his high prowess and strength, this is a very humbling experience that just happens to be the reality of the fact in his situation of life. So the best way to end this is to understand a few things, right? Number one, you have to be humble in life. It is so easy to fall victim of feeling like you did everything yourself. And I'm sure Conor McGregor is not that kind of guy to think that he did it all by himself, because it's obvious that he gives a lot of credit to his parents, to Dee, his fiance, and his family. But you also got to understand he's a man that really has a high self-made belief. And there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you're really self-made. But there's also nothing wrong with staying humble. Also, controlling your emotions and your actions are a very important thing to understand when it comes to this particular matter and subject. Because, like, again, what I said earlier, time is a circle. And as such, you have to understand that as a circle, it's going to remain the same result every time. It's not going to change. It's not unique. And on that particular regard, all I got to say is, don't forget to like and subscribe, because you have just liked and subscribed to the most epic mixed martial arts content in the history of mankind. I will see you guys in the next topic, in the next content, in the next live stream to come, inshallah. Once again, hit that like and subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And I'll see you guys in the next content, inshallah.